So you don't know this yet, but I have the audio on here, so you might not hear it out inside your headphones.
Welcome to the Warrior Mindset Podcast. We're your guide as you make your way through life, getting better 1% every day. We believe that life is lived and true victory won through adversity. Nothing easy is ever worth it. We believe in the warrior ethos and support those that choose to walk that path.
Threatened.
You feel threatened.
You muted me.
I did mute you because you were making too much damn noise.
I was trying to beatbox.
You can beatbox. It's okay.
Okay, but not during the intro.
Well, you got to beatbox along with the intro.
Okay, yeah. I guess it wasn't beatboxing. It was you. It is not a beatbox.
No.
Yeah. Okay.
It's not a beatbox.
No. Okay.
Well, welcome home.
Thanks. Happy to be here. Still adjusting to life, apparently.
Are you sure?
No. It's, I was gonna do some dumb reference to yeah, it's like being on a deployment, but that's not true at all. It's but as I was telling you, yeah, being gone for 2 weeks and then trying to readjust to being a human.
Mm. Why would you want to be a human?
No, exactly. Not lately.
No.
No, things are good. How are you?
Good, man.
Yeah.
End of show.
Just drop a mic.
No, so what's it like coming back from a conference overseas?
A conference plus a board meeting that led straight into a strategy like long session,
Wow.
and then like all the follow-ups.
Long day.
Yeah. It was good. I told you too that like the conference was really successful. It's probably the most successful conference that we've done to date.
Awesome.
And but yeah, it's the good thing is coming back from London this time, because I usually come back and I'm a little bit not even jet lagged. It's just I end up like waking up at 3 a.m.
Well, yeah.
I'm like, I'm ready to go. But this time, what was it? I got back and my flights went until like midnight, and with delays and everything, and next thing I knew, like I'd lost. Like I love to wake up early. I know you wake up early, but I love to wake up early, and sometimes when I go to London, I'm like, okay, this gives me the chance to reset and I'm ready to go. And like, I'll get up at 4 or 5 a.m. and
Right.
Nope. I totally lost that. I was lucky to wake up at like 6:45 today. I know. You'd already, moved the world by then.
No, I'm not laughing at you. It's just the time zone thing always messes me up.
Yeah. But I'm going to Denver pretty soon, and so that should totally mess me up.
Was that 2 hours from East Coast?
I think so.
2 or I think West Coast is 3.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I think Denver's 2 hours, but
minus 3, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I did a CTO. She went to Italy, then Barcelona for vacation, and then came to London for work.
Wow.
And then she lives in New York, so like as soon as she got back, she was there for a couple of days and then went to it's either New Mexico, Arizona for a conference. So I was looking at her, I'm like, do you even know where you are anymore? Anyway,
I don't know who I am.
Yeah. So yes, this discussion is on time zones today.
Yes.
But yeah, no, feeling good. Finally back in rhythm. Been working out. Worked out there. I think I told you. Maybe I told you when we recorded. Like the really cool thing about being over there and locked in your room for like 2 days working, hotel wise, was when I did get to go out and go for a run. I got to run over the London Bridge.
That's
and
cool.
the Tower Bridge and pass
Right.
past the Tower of London and everything, which I got to go into this past April. So it's just it's that is the thing about doing conferences for me, is the different location that you get to go to.
Yes. I always love that.
and your expanded worldview that you get. Sorry, I'm like all over the place on my mic. But the expanded worldview that you get, whether it's London, whether it's go to New York in December, uh, Denver,
Yeah.
but when we were traveling to Nashville
Yeah.
and different places in Florida, and sometimes even doing the conference here,
Yep.
um, like having the people come in and having all the talks with people that are from all over the place and have different views on different things, like that helps expand your mind as well.
Yeah.
So um,
It's always my favorite part of it.
yeah,
It's just all the different places and people.
yeah,
It's fun.
exactly. And that worldview too is like, or the outside of your normal everyday view, I guess,
Yes.
is I feel what makes you be a better human sometimes.
I think so.
And when I lived in Sydney and did my MBA over there, that for me was like when I came back, it was definitely because of all the different people and cultures
Right.
and uh, that I met through my program. Not necessarily sometimes in Australia, but uh, that I think that was the best thing that I and my wife ever did as far as like being able to think differently about things, whether it comes to like how you see society or how you see business, or it's just
Yeah.
you expand your world, you expand your way of thinking.
You do.
Yeah,
Travel absolutely helps you do that.
yeah,
Yeah. Wish more people traveled.
true.
It'd be
Well, we've talked about this. The landmass of Australia is about the same as the U.S. And so, but there's only 5 cities
well,
that you can go to there.
a lot more desert.
Yes, exactly. But like when I talk to people who are over there, and they're like, I don't understand why Americans don't understand, or don't go out more, whereas Europeans and Australians and people in Asia, like they travel a lot
Yeah.
and go to different cultures or
Yeah.
different countries, different cultures. I'm like, yeah, but you have to understand too, like you could live your entire life in the US and never actually go outside of it. And
That's
most
right.
people don't.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
large percentage of people don't leave their own state.
Mhm.
And so, I feel like that is something that with kid number one, I know you've gone through this, but kid number one looking at colleges and everything, like
Yeah.
I've said, it wouldn't be a bad idea if you took a gap year and like
Traveled.
traveled.
Yeah. Yeah. That would definitely help mature you.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, I mean, the US has so many different regions,
Yeah.
very different. And it's sort of, not just geographic. I mean, cultural too. It's fascinating.
Yeah. It
Yeah.
is. It is. And
I mean, Europe does too, but they're actual countries.
yes,
They literally made walls.
right with literally, and in different languages and different, we have different cultures within the states within the
Yeah.
U.S.
Oh yeah.
And sometimes different languages as well, depending
Yeah.
depending on whether you come down here to South Carolina
Yeah, but
or you go park the car in Bahama, near Maine. And I can't do any California or Midwestern accents. I refuse. But you do get a lot of that here. However, yeah, there's something too about traveling and language, culture,
yeah.
um, nationalism.
Yes.
That is a big thing in
Yep.
other countries. That's maybe a little bit less here. I
Yep.
don't know. Maybe lately it's been more. But I don't.
I don't know, man.
Anyway, what were we talking about again?
I don't know. I'm just glad you're back.
Oh, me too.
Anything else?
Can we take it out to the listeners? What would they like to hear today?
Might as well.
Little Steely Dan.
Steely Dan.
No. Okay.
Great.
Kylie Minogue. No. Okay. So,
No, anything interesting you pick up in London?
um,
No.
well, besides my love for meat pies has probably gone down a little bit.
Mm,
Th- they're good.
I don't know what a meat pie is.
Oh, think of a pot pie, but like it has the pastry on the bottom
Huh.
as well, as opposed to just on the top. And then what's in it might be like minced meat or
Mm,
peas and steak and
that sounds like a good
made with
mixture.
goodness.
Peas and steak with
Yeah,
stuff on the bottom. Sounds like it could go sideways real fast.
it can. Who knows what's actually in there?
Yeah.
Um. No, I, I, I think. I think again, what I picked up is that it's good to get away.
Yeah.
But it's better to get back and bring whatever you soaked up during that time back to what you're doing. And as busy as as busy as my time was leading up to the conference, as busy as my
Mm.
time was, that week of the conference. And thank God I did not go out and do karaoke with everybody like after the
Ooh,
conference. Yeah, I
yeah.
could not hang.
Mm.
I just paid for it. Like, here, you guys go have a
Yeah.
great time.
Go.
Yeah. That and then coming back and like all the follow-ups from it, the energy that I have now for whatever I was running down to, um, getting to the last ounce of energy that I had coming up to that, like it really is starting to come back. And my team and I actually use the past week and a half to kind of replan for the rest of the half of the year.
That's cool.
And while other people, within the organization, but also outside, like for financial services especially, and even technology, like, and for everybody in the world, this is a very, this is when people take vacations,
Mm,
holidays, and everything.
right.
But I would I'd rather go on holiday when less people are there at
Sure.
whatever
Yeah.
wherever you're
I'm the
going.
same way.
But I would rather use this time to plan or reflect on the first half of the year and then plan for the second half of the year, and really like um I was almost told, you need to go on vacation. And and I said, okay, I will do that after we take like the first couple of weeks after this
Yeah.
conference and really like pull out the meat of it. What was good about it? How does it affect our strategy going forward?
Mm,
And yeah, I mean, it's we basically had an AAR last week. We had an after
that's
action
cool.
review, and that was internal to my team, um, and we pulled everything out of it. And we have a list of 20 things that need to be done by the end of the year, um, and and you know by I guess it won't happen by the end of next week, but by middle of August, we should have 50% of what we have to do for the rest of the year just done.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Um, and so we can be a lot more effective on the other things that have to be done that are always ad hoc, which are events, or things that come up within the rest of the
Right.
organization. So, um, so, so what I got out of being away was, that you really can take whatever event that you're going to or whatever major thing that is coming up in your life, pull the meat out of it, figure out what's most important, and how does that translate into the other things that you need to do.
Mm,
And one of my personal goals that I me and my goals, um that I've taken from that is, you know my number one goal is always about health and fitness.
mm,
um but my number two goal, for the next couple of months is exactly this. Like take everything that we learned, distill it down, plan, and then execute on it, so that and do that in a compressed amount of time, so that way, like, the rest of the time that I have this year will be about directing my people to continue what we already plan to do. And then I can work on my personal projects that I want to work on and that I continue to push off for myself.
that's cool.
And you know, because if I don't ever get to those things and I'm always doing something for somebody else, then what the fuck am I doing?
Right.
Um,
Mm.
so, and I think that there was a time in my life where I continued to, uh, to do all those things for myself, but they didn't build to where I wanted. I mean, they built to a certain point, which
Right.
is good, but they didn't
Right.
build to where I needed them to. And now, again, I feel like I've got a really good baseline for everything that I'm doing. And now I can layer things on top of that because I've set my life up, I've set my job up, I've set everything up so that like I have more time to expand. Um,
That's awesome.
yeah. And so basically I've been talking straight for
No, it's great. I think
20 minutes.
it's a cool topic. So I've got this one thing here pulled up.
Mhm.
Um, pull it up here. This becoming responsibility and fulfillment paths to being authentic.
Mhm.
And I know you haven't had a chance to read it necessarily, but I think you're kind of touching on a lot of the stuff. And I think we could go through it. So this obviously I read a lot of articles and things,
Yeah.
but these three topics: becoming, responsibility, and fulfillment. Right. The little quote here: the most common form of despair is not knowing who you are.
Yeah.
The art of becoming is found in intentionally choosing slash designing who we are to become. Right.
Right.
So I've been paying attention to you over the past year,
Mhm.
and you've gone from this uh, operations mindset to now you're more like the things you're talking about are strategic
Yeah.
and leadership focused. You know, using words like team instead of I.
Mhm.
Congrats.
Thanks. Well, that that has been my goal, and I'm glad. Thank you for saying that. Somebody said that to me recently as well. Who has known me for a while,
Yeah,
and they said, really feels like you're, you know, growing into your, which Gene is kind of weird because like, I have owned my own my own companies and have had 30 employees at a
yeah.
time, but you know, I mean, I feel like, yeah, I was still very operational with that particular company.
Yeah.
And, felt like even if there are 30 people, that I was still doing it myself.
So and I remember for the sake of, maybe potentially employers listening to this, but I remember early on you were sort of, I don't want to use the word frustrated, but to a degree, I mean
Yeah.
with that part of it, and you're just like, I'm doing these things. I don't know what the next thing is.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I think a lot of people are there. There's a lot of people that are in that world, in their job, in their life, or whatever. They're just kind of reacting or whatever.
Yeah.
So, how did you go from that to designing what, like whether it's your own mentality or approach, or in the business or whatever,
Yeah.
or job, whatever you want to look at it, like how, because I know you intentionally put yourself in this position. I mean, and I think that's where a lot of people can get a lot of fulfillment
Hmm.
in life, right? We talk a lot about like, um, master yourself, serve others,
Yep.
and that's very cool, right? But you know, it's not always like, you know, Instagram quotes and
No,
things like
it's
that. I mean, you
not
have to have a
easy.
job.
Yeah.
You have to have a job.
Yeah.
It's real easy to just like quit your job, like, whatever, I'm going to go do whatever I love to do.
Yeah.
Sure, but not everybody can do that. So how did you intentionally sort of design yourself out of that
Hmm.
operational mindset into where you are? I mean,
Well, first I took my own advice.
ooh,
So when I, in one of the many thousands of things I've done, I used to teach. I used to teach at a technical college here, and I taught at University of Phoenix
yeah,
for a while. And one of the first things, I asked the students to go around and talk about who they are and what they want to do, and every single one of them, especially in the MBA classes that I was teaching, um, talked about I want to start my own business
Yeah.
and I want to do this, I want to do that. And the one thing that, first of all, I asked, well, have you already done that?
Nope.
Nope. And then I asked why.
Right.
And then, but something I said to him was like, who pays your electricity bill right now? They're like, me. I'm like, no, who actually pays it? Well, technically, it's my employer because they're giving me money for a
Sure.
service.
Right.
So who's paying it? Well, they're paying me because I'm anyway.
Yes.
But while somebody is still paying for your lights to be on, that's when you should be working on
Mm.
whatever it is that will eventually get you to the place that you want to be. And
Hmm.
and it's a little bit at a time. I did have some students that, did it.
Yeah.
Had one that started, a real estate company, one that started a restaurant, one that started a bakery.
Wow.
Um, and those weren't my dreams, but
Right.
those were theirs,
Yeah.
and they did it.
Right.
And I still check in on my students, my kids, every once in a while. Some of those kids were actually older than me, but they did it. Um, so I took my own advice in that aspect of, but the thing is to remember is you also, while you have to continue to do those things, even if it's an hour, 30 minutes a day, an hour a day, whatever it is, you still have to get the other shit right.
Right.
And so the second part of it was, um, yeah, I was very frustrated by just continually being on this operational level and
Hmm.
continue, like things had to go out, things had to be pumped out. And I think I told you that that came because my manager left because she she left to go do something that she wanted to do.
Right.
And so I was there going, okay, great. Like I have all this responsibility, but none of the power to actually do it. And so, eventually when it came to like, okay, here's your promotion
Hmm.
to be head of marketing, which I really kind of fought against at first
Okay.
because it like as if I just I always looked at it as like if I just had that person tell me, "Hey, just do this," like
Hmm.
once she left, then it was like I was doing part of the strategy, but it was still like 95% operations. But
Right.
if I had somebody, dealing with the strategy part, I was totally happy with doing operations because like I could get my work done
Sure.
and then I could work on the other things I wanted to.
Sure.
And maybe I wasn't fully invested in what I was doing at the time, nor was I fully invested in, the company that I was working for.
Yeah.
Even though I felt like I was continually there 80 hours a week. Um, but that click, and then I got a mentor.
Okay.
And the mentor I got 2 mentors actually. I got one who was my CTO that I talked about, Jane, and then I got Patrick, who is, a consultant that I pay in order to help with marketing strategy.
Okay.
Between those 2 people, and I've said this to them recently actually, and I've said this to my I said this to my team on Friday when we were going through our strategy together. It's like if you do not have a mentor, then you I don't feel that you can grow to where you need to get to
Okay.
because those mentors have been there, maybe not exact okay. I always wanted a mentor because I wanted somebody to tell me what to do and how to get to the place that I wanted to get to. And then I realized that that's not their job. Their job is to give you ideas
Right.
on things that you could do either in a strategic sense, but not necessarily in the tactical sense.
Sure.
And you have to figure out the tactical parts that that will get you to the places that you want to get to strategically.
Right. A mentor has no responsibility to you whatsoever, other
Right.
than just to like be available, maybe.
If that.
If
Yeah.
that. Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean.
And one was paid, one was not. Um and I get different things out of them. And the one that is paid, like first we started working on marketing strategy together. but I learned so much more from him besides that, because it was like, how to, again, I closed myself off from thinking as a leader, as a strategic person for a couple of years, at least with this particular job,
Yeah.
and took a back seat to things, and other people, because it was easy. And then, and I was like, well, no, you do not have that excuse and cannot hide behind that anymore. And so, he helped me with some of that. But then, Jane too, like, she has been a mentor, and just because that's something that she's done for many, many years, and in her previous position, and has managed,
Mm.
hundreds or thousands of
Yeah.
people. And she was able to just say, hey, I kind of see where you are. I didn't even ask her, like, did
Yeah.
not ask her for advice. She just said, I kind of see where you are. I wonder if this would be helpful. Here's how I see it.
Right.
How do you see it? And then we would talk through that. And then we got to certain points. So then what that ended up doing was those two mentors got me to a place to where we stopped a lot of operational things, at the beginning of this year. We stopped for like 2 months. I think I told you I didn't do a podcast for 2 months.
Right.
We had a couple of blog posts come out. We had a couple of things that we had to do on a continual basis. But the truth is like we did a lot less tactically and operationally,
Mm.
because we spent all of that time on working on a strategy, and not the strategy like I'm going to work on this and I'm never going to do it type strategy.
Yeah.
Because
Just most people's. Yeah.
right. And true. I mean, like,
Yeah.
I'm guilty of that so many times in my own stuff.
Yeah.
Um, but we stopped. We did the minimal that we had to do in order to really replan what had to be done. And then when we started doing everything, like, it came out of a fire hose. And so we've done that again. We've
Mm.
we've had a stopping point. There's still things that have to be done. But for the most, and now, like, if we were, if we were never at 0%, but let's say that we were at 25% when we were doing nothing at the beginning of the year. Um, and then we built ourselves up to, 110%. And then we've come down to like right now, like a 75%. That's a huge jump,
Right.
that 50% jump. But now our base is now that 75%. And
Okay.
so with we maintain there, plus, there are more people working on this. So it's easier to maintain that. And in fact, the call I had right before I walked in here, and was, somebody else doing the thing that I used to push the buttons for, for a year.
Right.
I'm like, hey, just make sure these things are right, and then
Great.
you're good to go.
Yeah.
And I'll eventually look and see if it was done right.
Right.
But we're at that 75% base that we weren't at before. And so, like I said, we've got these 20 things that we've got to do by the end of the year. And, you know, the hope is that that will take us up to, 150%. And then, when we stop at the end of the year to replan for the next year, see what we
Right.
debrief and everything, then, our base level continues to be higher and higher each year, so that, um, so that things are easier, things are just planned, things are have processes that we didn't have before. Um, and what that does for me is I can continue to think about the strategy part. I'm already thinking about, what type of person do I hire 6 months from now? And I was never thinking about that before.
Mhm.
Because I need to know, like, okay, with this person, I know that she is awesome at this.
Yeah.
And I know with this person, he is awesome at this, but where's the gap?
Right.
And because I don't want to fill it anymore on a daily basis.
Right.
I'm still filling some of those gaps, but for the most part,
Sure.
like, and last week, like, I was able to sit down and I wrote an article, for a publication. It was it was related to work that we were doing, but I was like, shit, I forgot how much I like this.
Mm.
Like, this is the stuff that I want to do. I want to do the podcast. I want to do the
Right.
writing. And then I want to, make sure that the plates are spinning, with my employees, but I don't always want to be, the one that's spinning them.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's where I feel I've gotten, and so I'm becoming that person.
Right. I mean, and that's the point, right? The process of that work is the opposite of, they use the word despair, but it's the opposite of that. It's
Yep.
purpose,
Yeah.
you know? So that path is where you find that purpose, and that's where you're happy,
Exactly.
And I think that's the thing for most people, like, is and it, it's not like always it's not always a climb. It's not always you know, a process that, we're always continually growing. You can stay the same,
Yep.
but it's just it's knowing that I'm actually making changes and I'm doing things.
Yep.
I think that's the thing to
Agreed.
seek out. Then the second part, responsibility, right? We ourselves must walk the path. Only you have the responsibility to put in the work to be authentically you. Authenticity is found in the work that you do in taking responsibility of who you are and how you interact with those around you.
Yeah. And again, I feel like I'm getting back to that point.
That's great.
Um, and yeah, and like, I mean, this is literally what it said about learning how to become human again. It's
Mhm.
kind of a joke, but it's kind of true.
Yeah.
Um, you know, walking a particular path, and as I would say, as much as things seem to be on a great trajectory for work, like obviously personally and family and everything else, those are the things that I
Yeah.
not only business wise do I feel like I'm going to have more time in the near future to work on those things, but like human wise, like and family wise,
Yeah.
like those are the things I really want to work on.
Yeah.
And we've done a shit ton this summer and this year already with I mean, my wife today was like, we've made up for not doing things in COVID times.
Yeah. All in 1 month.
Yeah, yeah. And like I think I told you, I'm leaving for University of Maryland tonight to go pick up my son.
Yep.
I just my wife and daughter just came back from Tampa, or my other daughter was
Yeah.
there for 3 weeks, and that's who I dropped off like
Yeah.
4 weeks ago in Tampa. Um, while I was traveling to London, and then then next week, traveling again.
Mhm.
For one of the kids. But I mean, we are getting all of it in.
You're getting all the travel down.
Yeah, but it's not just the travel; it's the spending time with the kids, it's
Yeah.
spending spending time with the humans that I love.
Yeah.
Um, and that's you know that's this part of the responsibility. Like my responsibility is not to you know the company that I work for. My responsibility is to the people that I'm with,
Yep.
and some of those people work for the same company that
Mhm.
I work for, but it's mainly to my family, my friends, um who will be for me, or they won't be if I'm not there for them.
That's a good way to look at it. Well, this last one, there's only 3 parts to this, but I liked how they broke it down. Fulfillment. The essence in fulfilling who you authentically are is found in creating harmony with the world, right? That's
Mhm.
where it sounds like where you are.
That's the hope.
Yeah, harmony does not, this is this quote from Beauvoir. Harmony does not mean quietism. It means embracing our freedom, taking responsibility for our lives, pursuing truth, creating genuine connections in the world, to the world and others.
Yeah,
Yeah, no shit.
yeah. Well, and the Jean Paul Sartre. I
Jean-Paul Sartre.
I've screwed up so many French names in the past 2 weeks.
I don't know what's up with
I
all the French
apologize
people.
to all of the French. But we are our choices.
Yes,
It's the no shit, but people don't. I don't feel like people respect that as
they
much as they
don't.
should.
And I think one of the biggest things that people don't recognize is that doing nothing and not making a choice is a choice,
Yeah, yeah.
which usually has the most
Impact.
negative
Yeah,
impact on you,
yeah.
for all the other things
Hmm.
that we're just talking about.
Yeah,
Like, just like choosing, I mean, choosing not to take a stand, choosing not to decide X or Y,
yeah,
choosing not to, you know, take that new opportunity. I mean, just letting it float by,
yeah.
you know.
And
That's how you have regret,
yeah,
15 years later. Like, if you look at an opportunity and you're like, "No, What cool. I mean, that's
You've made that
that's
decision.
correct
Right.
for you.
Right.
I didn't want to, I know you had something to say there, but we
No.
just did this great interview, and I'm gonna try to put it in the Warrior Mindset thing with Bill Wallace.
Mhm.
And you probably, off the top of your head, if I say Bill Superfoot Wallace, you probably don't know, but you probably do. Um, he's a fighter.
Dude, I think I saw you post.
I'm sure you've
Yeah.
seen him before. I mean, he's an older gentleman now, but
Mhm.
one of the in the other podcasts we do for Legends, one of the last questions we always ask is, do you have any regrets?
Mm.
We always ask them in, not in life,
Yeah.
but in like martial arts. Do you have any regret in your career?
Mhm.
'Cause we interview people that they're legend status, been
Yeah.
doing it for 50,
Right.
60 years.
Right.
So Mr. Wallace, do you have any regrets? And he said, no. All the decisions I've made in my career were the right ones for me at the time.
Yeah.
So no, I really don't have any. I mean, he said, personal life, yeah, a few things I'd rather do differently, but my professional life, no.
Yeah.
And I think that's the key. The key is that you make choices. Like
Mhm.
you even if it's no,
Yeah. Yeah.
or if it's yes, whatever, and whatever your rule set that makes you authentically you for choosing yes or no, whatever that is, just utilize it.
Yeah.
But don't just sit there and let the universe pass you by. I think that's where the regrets come from.
They do. And I was going to say there is a difference between, before you got to it, between saying no and not doing anything.
Yeah.
Because if
Was
that,
that what you were going to say? I'm
well,
sorry.
yeah,
Didn't
no,
mean
no,
to
no,
steal your
no,
thunder.
it because you got to that, but also like, but that difference, there is a huge difference that I think is a difference right there between regret and non-regret, and it's the, if there's an opportunity and you don't do anything about it, and then and how guilty are you, as everybody is,
Mm.
of like, here's the opportunity, and you hum and
You wait too
ha and
long.
you wait
Yeah.
too long, and guess what, that opportunity's gone.
Yeah. Or
And
somebody else took it.
right, and there, and then there's the regret, as opposed to, if the opportunity came out, and you should still say yes or no. You should make the decisions
Yeah.
based on, they should be informed decisions.
Well, hopefully.
Eh. But well, with as much information as you have at the time, and I
Mhm.
think
That's
that's what he was saying, um,
yep.
that you know you still may come to know, and you still may come to the exact same,
Right. Yep.
you know,
Conclusion might be the same.
right.
Yeah.
But it's you that's taking control of that, as opposed to the universe taking control of it for you. And I will always take, you know, taking control of something for myself
Yeah.
before letting something just happen to
I
me.
think it was Cameron Haynes in the he was on a podcast he was on. Or the book, whatever.
Mhm.
He said, if you don't make your life, somebody else eventually will make it for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're making the choices for you.
Yeah.
But that's where I see you, man. The past couple of months, I see you making these choices. I see you leaning in, and I see you deciding to put yourself in the position you're in. Because
Mhm.
you could have easily just hid. You could have easily just continued to do, the newsletters and
Yeah.
posting things where they need to post and not share that with somebody else.
Yeah.
Um, out
I
of fear that they might take it from you or whatever. Um, but you didn't. You leaned in, and you've made these choices, and now you're sort of propping yourself up.
Yeah. Well, and I think the secret too is, the secret to what happened there was, I got so angry. I got so angry of where I was, that, and I, I've said it before too. We hired somebody that uh I
Yeah,
can't
you told me that
I
story.
can't call that person what I really want to call
Yeah,
them, but
they didn't work out.
it did not work out. Um
It worked
and
out for them for a short period.
I'm sure it did. Um but but like, I had already been upset, but I got
Hmm.
so angry by that 3-month period,
Right.
that and we've talked before about the, running on gas, and that high
Hmm.
octane energy fuel, but you can't do it forever. Like, I got so angry to where I was like, fuck it, I'll do it.
Yeah.
And I got, and it was just more of a, I almost think that it may have been initially more of spite than anything else. But
Yes.
I can't, I'm serious about not being able to run on anger all the time, because if I continued to do that, then that anger could have blinded me to the decisions that I've had to make over the past, 6, 7 months in order to make not only what I'm doing and what my team is doing, in the smaller team and the larger team, a better product and a better service.
Yeah.
But also, like, it makes me a better person in general. And I still get angry.
Sure.
And I still can, like, get pissed off about things, but uh I, I feel like I'm not even quicker to anger anymore, which is good.
Mm,
I'm slower to anger but quicker to releasing. And that has been a conscious decision too, in
yeah.
order to, like, okay, that's really fucking stupid. However, how do we spin that the way that we need to in order to do the things that we need to do? Because we still need to do those things.
Right.
And anyway, but yeah, no, I appreciate it. There's a lot of love here. I appreciate that. But
I got to get through the episode, man.
I got, no, I appreciate that.
That's all good.
But no, it's uh yeah, now I just need to maintain that, and continue to make it better off of that maintaining, because
Yeah.
I finally do feel like I've caught up to the level that I should have been at a long time ago, in a many different places, career wise and other, um and now, and again, after the conference was done, I sat down with my mentor, and we were having a talk about something else, and it turned into a, we ended up talking. I was like, how did we get on the topic of me here? And she said some things that I was like, yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
You know, for this particular position, for anything that I may do in the future, you know, she really helped kind of, say, hey, these are the things you need to think of now
Yeah.
in order to get to the next step. I was like, huh,
It's cool.
yeah. So get yourself a mentor, and be responsible, and fulfill. Trying to sum it all up.
Yeah, I don't think there's steps in a process. There's like results
They,
of doing work. But
no, be authentic.
yeah.
Be
Well,
authentic.
yeah. I mean, I think that's the underlying
Yeah.
um, concept here is, I mean, do the work to be you,
Yeah.
and don't be afraid of it. And yeah, I mean, that's so many people just put on their business personality.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's got to be exhausting
It is.
to be different people around different people. Be very tiring.
I've done it. It's-
We've all done it to a certain degree,
Yeah.
but I mean, like professionally,
Yeah.
it would be painful.
Also, I will tell you that when I've also started to embrace, you know, being called and telling people my name was Grizz as
Yeah.
opposed to
Right.
Aaron within business,
Yeah.
like, it allows me to, and not that I'm different at home, but it allows me to be the person that I am at home in business as well.
Yeah.
And that authenticity, I feel, has like that has been another thing that
Yeah.
has
And
really
I
helped.
think, I don't want to, this is another episode and I
Yeah.
don't want to go too deep in it, but I think, people talk about work-life balance a lot. And when you get past the, you know, there's a large amount of people that talk about work-life balance, in my opinion, that they just work too much.
Sure.
Like you're working like 80 hours a week.
Right.
Like, well, you have no balance. You're always working. Like, you know, you should take some downtime.
Yeah.
Like that's what you're asking for, but
Right.
you're mixing it up with this thing. But I think a lot of it can be stemmed in the fact that they're not who they really are.
Mm.
We're talking about work-life balance because they've got two different realities,
Yeah.
almost two different
It's
personalities.
work and it's life.
And they're like, how do I balance the two? It's
Mm-mm.
like, well, you might not be the same person in both.
Right.
And I think maybe you need to audit that and think about yourself at work
Mhm.
and then at home. And if you're very different, why and what are those differences. That'd be a place to start.
Yeah.
I've never had that problem because I'm too dumb to worry about being professional. And I think, I joke a lot that, I work for myself for over 20 years now, and that there's no way I could go work for someone
Yeah.
else. And it's a joke, but I think that's really the crux of it, is that, like, it's more that I'm afraid that, like, well, I am who I am
I'll lose
now
me.
regardless. Yeah.
Yeah.
And does that work? And I've tried it and it just didn't work.
Yeah.
Like, I did not fit in with the culture. And I think that's where it stems from.
Well,
But,
and
it doesn't mean that you're a fit for every job on the planet
no,
either.
no.
You have to find your place and find your people.
Yeah. I worked for 12, 13 years for myself.
Yeah.
And I honestly, when we worked together, I kind of considered it working for myself, and
Mhm.
because I was still doing other things as well.
Yep.
And I didn't think that I could go and work for somebody else again.
Yeah.
And I think that I was drawn in by the stability, which was very helpful. I made that decision in 2019, which
Yeah.
impacted, what happened in
It worked
2020.
out. Yeah.
It worked a good choice. And so, and then in 2021 was, when I had like the anger.
Yeah.
But again, I think that there was a certain, like, at the very beginning, I was not even docile. It was like I was not in every single meeting that happened. I was
Yeah.
not who I
Right.
normally am. And in fact, it was kind of a joke. Like, my wife would walk in and she's like, "You don't say anything on those calls,
Yeah.
and you
Yeah.
don't shut the fuck up as
At
soon as
home.
you." Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Um,
Yeah.
and
Yeah. Where's your opinion, man?
exactly. And so again, when I finally embraced the I am Grizz, and this is who I am,
Yeah.
um, and and just again, I mean, I guess this is really about being authentic. You know, that was who I am,
Yeah.
and just enjoyed being that, and that comes with the anger, that comes with the
Yeah.
joy, um, and and so I don't have work life balance. I have
Right.
I have this symbiosis.
Personality
Well, yeah,
balance.
no, but I have this symbiosis between the
Yeah.
two. Like, yeah, there are definitely times where I work too hard.
Sure.
But there are definitely times where I play too hard.
Yeah.
um,
Yep.
and like it's 11 o'clock on a Thursday, and we're recording a podcast
Yeah. That has
that,
nothing to do with your job.
that has
Yeah.
nothing to do with my job. Um, and it's because we're friends.
Yeah.
I like you. I hope you like me. Yeah,
We'll see.
fair. And this is just fun to do. Um, unless you're making $1 million from it, haven't told me, like,
I trust me, I'm not.
okay, good. Doesn't matter. I'm gonna win the $1 billion tomorrow night in the lottery, but
Let's
that's a
do
whole
it.
other thing.
Yeah.
But like, this is part of the it's not work again, when people say work life balance, I think you're right. It is work or life for them.
Yeah.
And I think what you do, like, you know, your work is your life and your life is your work.
Yeah.
And not in a bad way. It's just like, your kids and your wife, like, all intertwine into that
Yeah.
because you guys exercise, you do karate,
Yeah.
like, I mean,
Do it together. Yep.
right. Exactly. Maybe they're not involved in the web design part as much,
Right.
which is good.
Probably. No money in that.
No, no. But it's a symbiosis of those things as opposed to the balance of those things. I don't believe in the balance.
Yeah.
So yeah, and that's just about being you.
I think so.
Yeah.
Cool, man.
All right.
Well, awesome.
Yeah.
That's all we got for this one. We'll have to do some more.
Sounds good.